Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder. It's our First NBC Bank Weekend review, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 35 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and into the panhandle of Florida. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. Saints are 0-2 in the preseason. It doesn't really matter. They will play this Sunday at home against the Houston Texans in the third game of the exhibition season, which is typically the one that most resembles a regular season game. Some key starters, in particular in the secondary, back to work this week, so likely to see a little bit of action this weekend. And Lenny, again, winning and losing doesn't matter, although you never like giving away a 21-0 lead.
You don't, but at the same time, it is the preseason. So you saw, Drew Brees for 3 series and a quarter. You saw all 4 quarterbacks for 1 quarter each. You saw the Saints going for 2 on every touchdown, which obviously, if you're kicking extra points, changes the dynamic of the game. You're talking about, a win, as it were, if you just go kick 3 extra points. But, it's always interesting to me when the Saints and the Patriots interact that you start seeing the Saints doing things that the Patriots have just done. Week 1, the Patriots went for 2 on their only touchdown of the game against Green Bay. Didn't do it, interestingly, other than the time to take the lead. They kicked the extra points, but went for 2 to try to take the lead in the fourth quarter because no one wants to play overtime in preseason. You can understand that. So, look, the important thing in my mind coming out of that game is with ones against ones on the field, it was 15-0 at the end of the first quarter. That is very, very encouraging, especially after what we saw in Week 1 in Baltimore.
Yeah, certainly a step up from the previous week, and the competition continues in many positions, and I don't know that in recent years we've seen this much competition going into the third week of the preseason. I mean, Lenny, you've got spots available at linebacker, defensive line, secondary, and on the offense, the backup quarterback position, running back, wide receiver. Looks to me like offensive line might be the only thing that looks pretty clear-cut in terms of who's going to make the roster.
I would agree with that, and especially not just roster spots, but I think we're talking starting spots as well.
And, of course, I skipped kicker again.
You did, but what's interesting to me is, the one thing that it seems like in the draft that the Saints have been able to do is they've identified, at least the last few years, identified offensive guys and maybe swung and missed some on defensive guys. Well, if you look at this year, okay, I think Pete is still a question mark at this point, especially going where he did, but yet Anthony and Kakaha look like they could be potential, and we're 2 games into the preseason, but have the potential to be home runs. Now, granted, the defense needed a lot more help than the offense did, so there's a bigger opportunity for them to be able to succeed there. But still, you have to like what you've seen of those 2 guys so far.
Yeah, I think both have a real chance to be starters at the start of this season, which would be significant. So it's going to be interesting to see how Sean Payton plays it with preseason game number 3. You see what can happen with starting players, with Pouncey and with Jordy Nelson. I mean, it's a pretty shaky situation. Scary. You don't want to lose guys when it doesn't really matter. We'll see. LSU and Tulane continuing to get ready for the season, which is quickly upon us. Tulane with another scrimmage this past weekend. Another good showing by Tanner Lee. LSU, of course, still trying to make that decision, we think, as to who their starting quarterback will be.
I got a feeling it's made, and we'll find out at 6:30 next Saturday night when they go and take the field. There'll be no tipping of the hand, so to speak. That said, LSU has really shifted into quote-unquote game week mode with the McNeese game 12 days from now. They will scrimmage on Tuesday, but beyond that, it's the season really is here. I mean, these guys are starting to wind down from 2-a-days to 1-a-days now, and you really just get into the routine that you would get into in the regular season.
And the high school football season here as well. Scrimmages, you saw some on our website this past week with video. And, of course, this weekend, jamborees kick off the season with the regular season to follow, of course, the first week of September. And you can follow it all at SportsNOLA.com. We certainly hope and trust that you will. Finally, the Zephyrs, hard to talk about. A franchise record for futility. 15 consecutive losses. And I know it's minor league baseball, and I know it's a changing scenario on a regular basis in terms of roster, but this is kind of hard to swallow.
It is. And, some of them have been tight and frustrating. Even the game Sunday night, they rallied late and just couldn't get the hit to get them over the top. So it's it is, like you say, it is frustrating. You're talking about more than 2 weeks without a win, and that's hard to do. The one thing about baseball, though, you can bet it's I don't want to say guys are having fun about it, but from the outside, it would probably look fun. You're going to see some things like, trying to break or, change up every superstition possible to help snap that losing streak. We've seen all the things in Bull Durham and stuff like that about some of the things that minor leaguers, and for that matter, major leaguers will do to help snap out of something.
We'll see. Playing it out at this point. Lenny, as always, thanks. Have a great week.
All right, we'll see you later this week.
That's our First NBC Bank Weekend Review, brought to you by First NBC Bank, with 35 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana and now into the Florida Panhandle. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. He's Lenny. I'm Kenny. Have a great week, and God bless you.